We have the windmills behind us. We have the businesses on the other side of the railway track. And because of topography, the lower ranges of the town of Amherst, all of that is at peril at some point. And if there was to be the perfect storm like the old Saxby gale, it would be very bad.
The tidal surges are increasing in height, typically because of climate change, and climate change is producing sea level rise. And as the dikes in the area were built for sea level rise during their time, and the area here in northern Nova Scotia is subsiding somewhat since the Ice Age. So we have a twofold situation. One being the sea level rise, and the other being the subsidence of the area where the dikes are located. At some point in time, which is not that far in the future, we could be looking at flooding as a result of the tide height overtopping the dikes here in Cumberland County. We've got a CN rail line that, in effect, becomes the dike. And that area between New Brunswick and Nova Scotia has a $50 million a day goods and services that travel across it. That has tremendous consequences not only for Atlantic Canada, of all the goods and services that are traveling into Nova Scotia and beyond into Newfoundland, but also all the goods and services that come into something like the Port of Halifax that are needed in places in other parts of Western Canada, in Central Canada, Western Canada, places down into the States. So all those goods and services would be impacted, and that would have a very negative economic impact here, in not only in the Maritimes but also in Canada.
Are these communities in the danger zone or a little above it?
These homes here would be considered to potentially have consequences.
If any public official said, "Well, I had no idea, I didn't know. There was no way I could have known this was possible," well, I would be the first to say that's simply not true. In my view, there are really three options, and this would be true for dike lands in lots of different jurisdictions, lots of different countries. You can choose to raise and reinforce and widen the dikes. You can choose to think about how you manage the infrastructure behind the dikes and essentially take your chances. And in some cases, you may conclude that the best thing you can do is actually remove the dike. And although that may seem antithetical, in most cases when you're removing a dike, it's because there's another dike that's been located somewhere further inland. And what that allows you to do is to grow a salt marsh or some other form of natural protection out in front of the new dike, which then buys you natural insurance for that infrastructure.
I understand that the intergovernmental, the provincial, two provinces and the feds have come very close to an agreement about how this study should be framed, but I don't know, have you heard anything about it?
No, and that's why I say I think our role is to keep an eye on what they're coming out with and being able to lobby against what we may feel is a decision that's not in our community's best interests, and encourage and push for a solution that's going to be more protective rather than a minimalist solution that might be a cheaper solution but cost more for the local communities.
When you look at the dikes in Holland, it works there, doesn't it? For some odd reason, they have the engineering and the ability to build dikes that sustain the sea, the Zuider Sea. They have that ability to do that. We need to be looking at that technology, and it's already been proven. It works. We need to be looking at that. We need not to put our head in the sand. We need to have a vision of where this is going to go.